Alright, yo, so it's been an absolutely insane weekend of scrap metal mayhem. I did like 3 videos. I was just going around and collecting junk. Got this trailer full. I got stuff in the Toyota that has to go into the Ram that's sitting in front of here. I got this bucket full. I got this tire. I got some hydroponic weed growing crap here. I got buckets of copper here. This one's been filling up. That's not from this weekend, but this one. Some of the stuff in this one, all from this weekend. Some of the stuff over here, and here, all from this weekend. And then I got a bunch of wire here. What this is somebody's old burn up welding cable. Like this stuff is toast. So what I want to know is how much money can you make stripping this stuff? So I've never stripped welding cable before. I do have a bunch of welding cable that some dude traded me for like a boat engine and some other stuff that's sitting under this vacuum here. So I want to know how much money can I make if I strip it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weigh this up. I'm going to write down the weight of everything as it sits now. I'm going to strip it and I'm going to figure out how much copper we get. From there we'll be able to tell how much money we make by stripping this. Alright, I know there's a lot of new people on this channel. So if you've never seen a video of me doing stuff like this before, this is how it goes. We got our scale here, the little doohickeys here, so you're going to see that. We're going to weigh it up. I'm going to write down how much this stuff weighs. I know the tare weight of my bucket is 7.5 pounds when weighed up on this scale. So let's go ahead and do that. Turn the scale on. We're going to weigh this bucket up here. That weighs 62 pounds with the copper in it and the bucket. Our tare weight is 7.5. So I'll need a calculator to do the net because I can't do that math in my head right now for some reason. Alright, so this is my wire stripper here. It was a copper wire stripper, CWS. I believe is what they called it. I believe they've recently rebranded. I can't remember the name of it, but it's fairly industrial. It costs like $1,400 if you were to buy it new, and that was back in 2012. I don't know what they would cost nowadays. There are cheaper ones out there, but they're not going to be able to do what this thing can do. There's also more expensive ones that can do more than this. This is fairly good for me. I don't do this stuff every day. But when I need to strip wire, I need to strip wire, you know what I'm saying? So this is a jumper cable that I got. I'm going to run this through too. I had to figure out the setting on the blade height for this. Try not to go too deep, but I gotta go deep enough. Tape on the ends really kind of screwed it up. So I gotta do a little bit tighter. There we go. I might have to go through it again though. Yeah, I still want that just a tad bit tighter. We'll do another half turn there. There we go. Kind of came off there. Oh well. Alright, I'm going to see what we get here. I also got to get I'm gonna get this bucket opened up for all the copper I'm going to put in it. This will probably be a number 2 copper. There's usually like a varnish on this craft. Because one side of the jumper cable stripped. This other one is really burned up and cracked. We'll see how this one goes. I'm going to go hit it later for this one. And it slipped off there. Just got to keep rotating it. That didn't really work too well at the end there. Yeah, this stuff is very it's not coming off too well. I mean, it is, but it's just like not in one piece. Very time consuming. This wire was definitely very burnt. Yeah, that wire was toast. That's all the jumper cable. Now I'll have to adjust the blade again for the welding cable. There's a newer looking one here and then a really old beat up one. I'll get the newer looking one, try to get some of that going here. Well, you get the point. I'm just going to strip it all and we'll see what we get. Alright, so after running this for a little bit, what I started doing is I had so many problems trying to send this all in all at once. that last strand. What I'm doing on this one is I'm cutting it in about like 2 to 3 foot lengths. And just sending it through in short lengths. It's not twisting it nearly as bad. It's not as productive either, but in the long run, it works out better that way. So I can just send it through, and then we get the stripped copper. Look at how bad this wire is, man. I'll try to block the sun here. But that was somebody's welding lead. Like, that thing is shot. So I'm going to keep stripping it some. Keep cutting and stripping, cutting and stripping. So I'll keep doing that and show you the math at the end. Alright, I got it all stripped up. That's what we're left with. I mean, you can see some of this stuff was like really burnt. Somebody either cranked up their amperage too high, or like they left their stinger on and it was like shorted out forever and a day. I don't know. This is what it's supposed to look like. I still think that's a number 2. I mean, it usually has like a varnish on it. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know exactly what we're going to get for this just yet. I'll have to go to the yard and figure out prices. But I'm going to weigh it up here. That way we can get the weight. And then we'll figure out prices later. So the weight with the copper and the bucket is now 51 pounds. So I'll write this down here. Alright, like I said, I don't know the unit price, so I won't know the total price. Then I gotta get a calculator out for the net weight. So yeah, let's finish this up here. Alright, so I finished our little chart here. Disregard this. This is a part that I was making. I had to pay some engineer top dollar to draw this. So yeah, we left off here, right? Well, here. I figured out our net weight. We had 54.5 pounds of wire. When we stripped it down, we ended up with 43.5 pounds of number 2 copper. I'm going to do some more math here to get the percentage copper. Alright, so look at that. Instant math. So if you take this number, divide it by this number, it equals 79.81% copper by weight. That means if you have 1 kilogram of wire, you can times it by this number and you'll know how much copper is in that 1 kilogram of copper, or how much copper is in that 1 kilogram of wire. If you have 1 pound of wire, you times it by this number, that'll let you know how much copper is in that 1 pound of wire. It doesn't matter if you're doing metric, it doesn't matter if you're doing American weight, doesn't matter if you're measuring weight by bald eagle dicks, you know, it doesn't matter. This number, you know, it applies to everything. This number is in pounds. So I had 54.5 pounds of wire and 43.5 pounds of copper when I stripped it down. I received this price at the scrapyard today. That is the highest amount I have ever gotten paid for number 2 copper. It is ridiculous. I feel like it's that high for multiple different reasons. We're not going to get into that today. But if we would have left it as just wire, we would have only gotten $1.08 per pound. So when you do the math, this number times by this number, that gives us this number. So I made $167.04 dollars when I took it to the yard today. If I would have not messed with it at all, I would have received $58.86. When you subtract this number from this number, that means we had a difference of $108.18. I don't know how long it took for me to strip this wire. It couldn't have been more than a half hour. So, you know, I would say this wire is very good to strip. There's some wires, like the Romex, I don't recommend stripping it. The Welding Lead, I would 100% strip it day in and day out. This is a very good number right here for only having to work half an hour. Now I have this big pile of welding lead over here that is too short to really use on the welding rig. Plus it's also a lot heavier than my connections are made for, so I'd have to buy a whole bunch of new connections. I want to figure out how much I can get paid for scrapping this stuff if I strip it down. Alright, so I got all that welding lead in the bucket here. We're going to throw it on the scale, which is zeroed out. So we got 80 pounds in there. That's with the bucket and the copper wire. So I'm going to write this down. So that would equal 72.5 pounds of wire that I have. Our unit price is $1.08 right now, so I'll have to do some math on that. And then, assuming that this is the same percentage of copper that we had here, we can do some math and figure out how much copper is actually in this bucket right now. Because right now we're weighing the wire, which is copper and insulation. I don't care about the insulation, I want to know how much copper is there. The percentage might be a little bit different on this wire than on the last wire, because I think this is a slightly thicker gauge wire, but it should get us a close enough estimate. So let's do some math. Alright, so you can see what I'm doing here. We have the weight of our wire, the net weight. I don't care about this stuff, I only care about this right now. It's 72.5, times that by our percentage. You have to move your decimal if you're doing it this way. Then hit equals. And we have about 57.86 pounds of copper in here. We're going to round that up to 58 pounds for this math here. Sometimes I do it just based on this number. We're going to round it up to 58 pounds today. So I'm gonna write that down here. Again, I don't care about these two for this. I don't care about this number. Now we know our unit price was $384, I believe. I'll have to double check that. Now we can take this number and times it by this number. All right, so you can see that's what we did there. And this is our total price of copper after we strip it, assuming our percentage is correct. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that. It's a lot lower than I was expecting. I thought I had quite a bit more wire. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet, but you know, what I showed you today is how to figure out how much money you actually make by stripping wire. And if you have a wire with a known percentage and a known weight, you can do your own math and figure out exactly how much money you will make by stripping that wire. You know, like if you had to pay for this, you know, let's say you were trying to pay $1.50 a pound for this wire from some customer, and you want to see how much money you're going to make. You know, your unit price, we'll write this down here, 1.50, because you want to pay better than the scrapyards so people will sell to you, right? So then you can take, you know, your starting weight, and times that by the price you're trying to pay. So you'd be trying to pay $108.75 for this wire. You know that you think you can make $222.72. You're going to subtract that from, you're going to subtract what you would have to pay, and then bam, that would give you how much money you expect to make. So yeah, this will work with, you know, if you want to pay for wire, or if you want to find out if stripping wire is actually worth it. You take the price that the yard is going to give you, figure out your math, and then you can get your numbers. A lot of people don't do this, and they just think, oh, you're making so much money stripping wire. And sometimes you're actually not, so this is why I do this. I've never stripped welding leads before, like I said, and I really wanted to know how much copper was in those and how much you can make by stripping it. This wire is worth it. It seems like the thicker the wire, the more worth it is to strip. A lot of the small stuff, like the Romex and stuff, it just takes too much time and it's not worth it. So yeah, do your math, yo.